Hey guys, this is Raj here. So today I'll be talking about the Kaggle X BIPOC program. So I'm one of the mentees or participants of the cohort. To start with, what is Kaggle X BIPOC mentorship program? So it is a program launched by Kaggle. So who is Kaggle? Kaggle is one of the largest data science community / platform. So more than 10 million active users are there. Unique registered users come here to learn, find data sets that are publicly available for academic users, compete and collaborate. So it's a huge platform when it comes to data science. So they created this new program called Kaggle X BIPOC mentorship program. So what is this program about? So the goal of this program is to increase the representation and create career opportunities and develop individual growth for BIPOC people. So who are those? Like black, indigenous and people of color in the data science industry. This is the impact that they have created so far. More than 15 plus countries, 91% of the project completed, and 194 mentees graduated. So this year actually it's more than 400 mentees, I guess, participants. So it's a big cohort. And let's see what are the eligibilities are. Of course, you should be of black, indigenous or people of color, and you should have less than 8 years of experience and should have some knowledge about data science and machine learning, right? Yeah, and these are the countries that they are saying, and the program lasts for 15 weeks. So our program ends at November 2023, and October 30th is where the final submission of the project is. Hey guys, so this is my Kaggle X submission. The project that I have chosen is open source large language models based chatbot with private / sensitive medical data. So I am a medical student. I study veterinary medicine. I'm in my 3rd year and I'm also an AI engineer. So I just wanted to add some impact in the veterinary medicine or a human medicine space. In this case, I have chosen human medicine. So what I have, the project shorter version of the title is a medical chatbot for private sensitive data. Let's say it could be a case report or something like that. So my full name is Nagarajan Shanmugam. You can feel free to call me as Raj. It's much easier. So my life in India, a little bit of background about myself. So I did my undergraduate specialized in embedded systems. I worked in IIT Madras as a biomedical wearables embedded engineer. So we work on clinical wearables, and I was working on pulse oximetry, biomedical kiosks and so on and so forth. After that I moved to IIT Delhi, where I was working on self-driving cars. Apart from that, I've also been doing a lot of courses in Coursera. So I have more than 20-25 certifications and couple of specializations, and I also am a mentor and alpha tester for some of the unreleased courses in Coursera, mostly with respect to machine learning and AI. And then I moved to Europe. So my life in Europe here, so I have a dual masters in artificial intelligence and robotics, and I studied in Technical University of Berlin in Germany and KTH Royal Institute of Technology, Sweden. So I worked in a couple of startups as well, and some of the bigger companies that I worked is Scania, where I was doing my research thesis there, and I also have founded my first company in veterinary medicine and AI, which is a North American based company, and I also started another venture in AI as well recently in California. So at the moment I'm studying veterinary medicine and I'm in my 3rd year. As I said, I'm currently based in Poland, Wrocław. So let's dive deep into the project itself, large language models. So this new age of large language models, right? Like start of this year 2023, large language models are like the new storm, and large language models are getting more and more powerful every day. They are starting to handle a lot of complex tasks as well, and the next year's goal for large language models is to be multi-model capable. Already there are a couple of open source models that are available to do the multi-model capability. What does multi-model mean? That means you can process images, audio, video and text, not just text, right? At the moment it can only textual input. Yeah. And then there's a lot of advancement and research that is happening every 2 weeks the machine learning libraries with respect to the large language models are changing. Let's say LangChain, let's say ChromaDB, all those libraries are changing every single week. So it's a very interesting time to be alive, but it's also painful for a data scientist or a machine learning engineer because they keep on changing the libraries. You always have to unlearn and relearn. So yeah. So what are the benefits of these new LLMs, right? Enhanced language understanding, right? They provide more accurate and nuanced language understanding, reducing errors, and efficient content generation. That's something huge, especially let's say for a marketing and sales agencies. Basically whatever they have to do, writing emails, marketing campaigns, advertisements, all of these stuff can already be done by ChatGPT or any other open source LLMs, and then you can just play with it right on top of it and tweak it a bit and make it friendly for your own company. And yeah, and as we said, the improved multimodal insights as well. So moving on to the next one, the potential use cases in medicine. The new age of LLM presents opportunities to revolutionize healthcare by providing an accurate, efficient, and personalized services. So this is not even a joke. When I wrote this, like, there's a model called Google MedPalm 2, which is actually said to be better than experienced doctors in diagnosis, and not only diagnosis, and also in empathy. So the future of healthcare will be heavily impacted by AI is my understanding. Let's see where that goes. So there are some use cases like this here I have written, like medical record analysis, clinical decision support, and patient communication. So these are some of the ways LLMs could be used. There are a couple more ways by which LLM could be used in the medical sector. Let's say telemedicine, healthcare chatbots, and drug discovery and research. If you guys know about Google's DeepMind, a project called AlphaFold 2, and then they started a new spin-off for drug discovery. So that's a very interesting space as well. So for this Kaggle X program, I have decided to go with medical record analysis. So LLMs can extract insights from the medical records and assist in diagnosis and treatment planning, and also helps a new doctor, let's say a junior or a fresher doctor who is coming into the patient case profile, and then he wants to know what's the history, what's the treatment plan, what is the diagnosis initially, and what is the next steps ahead. So yeah. So the open source model, that's the next subtopic of mine. Why did I choose an open source model? You could always choose the OpenAI API, or let's say the Google Bard or Claude from Anthropic. So there are so many other models that are closed source. I wanted to go with some open source models because whenever we are dealing with patient data, it's very sensitive and critical. I don't want to be liable for that. So in medical industry, it's better to have your own privacy, right? So that's something I'm very cautious about. Not only me, the entire European Union, I guess. And yeah, so there are a lot of large language models that are being released open source. Let's say the Falcon models, and the biggest elephant in the room is Meta's models, the Llama 2. They say already Llama 3 and 4 is on the way. So probably next year they'll be releasing it, I guess, with multimodal capabilities. That's my guess. And yeah, so these, let's say here I'm using in this project Llama 2. Llama 2 is a very intelligent model. I would say the reason being it has a very high token size from the previous version. Previous version could take like more than 2000 tokens. This can just double it into 4000 tokens, and it has seen 1 trillion tokens already. So it's one of those powerful models that was released a couple of months back, and it's open source completely. You can use it commercially. So many businesses are using it already, and the next step is to see where this is going, right? Like where the Llama 3 and 4 will take us. So I wanted to show something that is working with Llama 2 that gives like a hope to medicine and other sensitive domains where you cannot use a models like ChatGPT or something unless and until it's an enterprise model for which the cost is very high. The benefit of using open source models is these are all quantized. And also what do I mean by quantized? They could be running in a small compute device, let's say your mobile phones as well. or even smaller devices at times, so like a Raspberry Pi, Arduino and something, and they do really good even in these smaller compute devices, and you basically own the model and you can tweak it with full customization ability, which is not possible in other models. Yeah. And privacy protection, as I said, working in the medical sector, like privacy comes the first, and especially in the EU, they take the privacy very seriously. Ethical guidelines, privacy preserving AI, user control, regulatory compliance. So all these boxes are checked when I use an open source model, that I can use it privately. Yeah, let's visit the code and see some sample outputs. So this is the code, guys. I am just like minimized it so that people can understand the bigger picture. So I'm initially loading the libraries, loading the test document, loading the documents into a vector database, and doing a similarity search test where I'm just looking for keywords and trying to make sure everything works, the database is created properly, and then creating a retriever for collecting at least 3 similar documents, and loading a 7 billion parameter Llama 2 model. And then I'm setting up a prompt, and then I'm building a pipeline, and finally I'm starting to chat with the model. Okay, so let me expand some of those. Yeah, here you can see all the libraries that I'm installing. Yeah, so here I'm loading my test document. A test document that I'm using is like from some sample data that I just get downloaded from Google. So this is the sample document. It's about a patient called Mr. Tan, and all his details are listed here in this document. It is 10 pages. Sometimes it could be longer as well when it comes to older patients with a long medical history. So whenever someone new is gonna engage with this document from a medical industry, it will be a nightmare to read all of those and then understand it. Rather, you can, how about having a chatbot to just talk with this data, right? Like I have, like, let's say 20 patient data, each like 10 pages or 20 pages, and then I start asking question, okay, what is patient X diagnosis, is what is the treatment plan, what can be done, what is the current situation with the patient, is he diagnosed, is the treatment working or not. There are so many questions that you can ask, right? So I thought it will be nice to try out a large language model. So yep, and I'm loading the document, and then here I'm using the ChromaDB to store them in a vector database. And also I'm converting the text into embeddings using this model, which is also open source from Hugging Face, right? And here I'm similarity testing. It's able to test whenever I give a keyword, so that's cool. And let me go to this section where I'm loading the Llama model from the Hugging Face repository. And once I load the model, I am setting the prompts here. See, you are a helpful, respectful medical assistant. So here I'm telling it is a medical assistant that will answer only medical questions, so that it doesn't answer anything but medical questions. So that's like kind of a safety guardrail, I guess, so that you don't ask like something about stars, moons and planets, I guess. And yeah, so now I am building a pipeline using the Hugging Face pipeline and LangChain. So here I'm using something called retrieval QA. That's the magic sauce here that helps to chat back and forth with memory that I have built myself and creating a chat history. So here I'm also asking it to return the source document from where it got the answers from, or how is it replying, so that in future it can be, I can go back and trace back its answers, like where it is coming from. Did it understand the questions right, or I can cross check, right? So for that purposes, right? Here I'm having all the hyperparameters here. I'm keeping the temperature as 0.7, and we have set the prompts, we have set the hyperparameters and built a pipeline successfully. And now the chatting part. So I haven't connected it yet because I'm using the free Google Colab repository. I haven't connected it yet because it is a quantized model. One more thing is, this model that I'm using is a 4-bit version from Block. it's one of the guys who's uploading it to Hugging Face, one of the most popular repositories out there. Because it's quantized, I can basically choose a runtime that is just a T4 GPU, and then I can just run the entire model, and it responds very quickly, by the way. And then see, if you see this, I have put it in my code inside a while loop where I'm asking enter a query, and then I'm asking what is the patient's medical history, and then it starts saying the patient is Mr. Tan, and what is he experiencing, there's a lot of outputs that I went back and forth. I wanted to show you guys these outputs in the presentation so that it's much more digestible. So here I am asking what is the patient's medical history, and then it talks about him, and he's experiencing gradual deterioration in cognitive ability and physical state over the years, and there are so much of his medical history that is mentioned here, and then the source document as well. Of course, it does some kind of mistakes, so be aware of it. This is the first initial versions, right? So we have to iron out all the bugs, and like in couple of years probably it'll be very, very robust, I guess. So I'm asking, the first question was what is the medical history. Now I'm asking what is the diagnosis for the patient. So based on the information provided in the passage, it says like what are all the diagnoses. He's diagnosed with dementia and all the problems he has actually. And the next question is what are the possible treatment plans. I wanted to ask something that is not there. So based on the provided information, it says I cannot give a definitive prognosis, so that's already like being very cautious on its own, but it will attempt giving some kind of treatment option per se, and it gave me a lot of stuff that I just went through. It kind of made sense as well as a medical student myself, but even though I treat pets, it's still I can understand stuff, I guess. Yeah, and I put my code in the GitHub, and I attached it into the presentation as well, and this is the place where I took the sample document of the case study. And yeah, thanks you guys so much for listening to this presentation of mine. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot doing all these things, and see you next time. Bye.